The dim constellation of Caelum has no ancient myths and seems completely empty to the naked eye. But this celestial engraver's tool became a great symbol of science and the Age of Enlightenment. Right here hides an anomalous star system whose eclipses reveal the presence of an invisible giant planet. And the absence of cosmic dust opens up a pristine view of ancient collisions of distant galaxies.
When you think of constellations, you probably picture gods, heroes, and mythical beasts. But what if a constellation wasn't about a legend? What if it was a monument to a tool? Today, we're taking a look at Caelum. It's not flashy, it's not bright, but it's a quiet and profound tribute to the Age of Enlightenment, a symbol of human ingenuity etched forever in the cosmos. So here's our roadmap. We're going to start by getting our bearings, figuring out what this celestial tool is all about. Then we'll map out its location in the sky, zoom in on some of its fascinating star systems, and see what lies beyond, in deep space. And finally, we'll uncover its unique origin story and explore what it truly represents. All right, let's start with the basics. Caelum is, well, it's pretty humble. It's one of the most low-key constellations in the entire southern sky. You are not going to find any dazzling, eye-catching stars here, but that's kind of the point. Its real value isn't about how bright it shines, but the story it has to tell. Yeah, it's not about luminosity, it's about what it stands for. Caelum represents that human drive to create, to be incredibly precise, and to understand the universe through our intellect and the tools we invent. In this story, the tool itself is the hero. Okay, so let's get a real sense of its size and where you'd even begin to look for it. Knowing its physical profile helps us understand why it's such a unique little patch of sky. So, Caelum officially occupies just under 125 square degrees of the celestial sphere. That's just the standard way astronomers measure how much real estate a constellation takes up from our viewpoint here on Earth. And this chart really puts that number into perspective. Out of all 88 modern constellations, Caelum ranks way down at 81st. That makes it one of the smallest ones up there. It's just dwarfed by giants like Hydra. And it's only a little bit bigger than the absolute smallest, Crux, the Southern Cross. And where you are on Earth matters a lot. If you're in most of Northern Europe or Canada, you'll simply never see Caelum. It always stays below your horizon. To see the whole thing, you really need to be in the Southern Hemisphere. And that's all because of our planet's tilt in space. So, okay, we've established it's small and dim, but don't let that fool you. Caelum is hiding some absolutely fascinating things for astronomers. So let's zoom in and see what's worth pointing a telescope at. The brightest star in the constellation, and I'm using air quotes here, is Alpha Caeli. Even as the alpha star, it's so faint you'd be hard-pressed to see it without a telescope. What's interesting is that it isn't just one star, it's a binary system, two stars orbiting each other, about 66 light-years away. The main one is a bit more massive and hotter than our sun. Now here's where Alpha Caeli gets really cool. It gives off an excess of infrared radiation, way more heat than it should. And that is the smoking gun, the telltale sign of a huge disk of dust swirling around the star. Think of it like leftover construction material from the star's birth, glowing as it's warmed up. This disk is literally the raw material for planet formation. We might be watching a brand new solar system in the making. And that brings us to one of Caelum's biggest astronomical mysteries, the RR Caelum system. It operates with almost perfect clockwork precision, but there's a riddle hidden in its timing. So what is it? You know, this system is a perfect example of scientific detective work. Here's the setup. You have a tiny white dwarf and a red dwarf orbiting each other every 7 hours, creating these perfectly regular eclipses. But when scientists watched this celestial clock over a long period, they noticed the timing was just slightly off. The only thing that could really explain that is the gentle gravitational pull from a third unseen object. The prime suspect is a massive planet, subtly tugging on the two stars and messing with their perfect schedule. Caelum has another ace up its sleeve. It happens to be located in a part of the sky that's far away from the bright, cluttered, dusty plane of our own Milky Way galaxy. For us, that means it's an incredibly clear line of sight deep into intergalactic space. It's like a perfect, clean window looking out into the universe beyond. And when you look through that window, you see some incredible sights. For instance, there's NGC 1201, a lenticular galaxy that appears through a good telescope as the smooth, ghostly spindle of light. Then there's Hickson Compact Group 22, a tight knot of galaxies all tangled up in a gravitational dance, slowly, inevitably merging into one. Okay, now that we've seen what's in Caelum, let's talk about where it came from. This is not an ancient constellation. There are no Greek myths here. It was born during the scientific revolution of the 18th century, a direct product of the Age of Enlightenment. We owe this constellation to one man, the French astronomer Nicolas-Louis de Lacaille. On an expedition to the Cape of Good Hope, he charted this then unnamed region of the sky, first calling it les ciseaux, the scissors. He later refined that to Caelum Sculptoris, the sculptor's chisel. And finally, in 1763, the name was officially shortened to just Caelum. And this is where the story gets really compelling. As Lacaille was mapping the uncharted southern sky, he made a radical choice. Instead of populating the heavens with more mythical figures, he decided to immortalize the very tools of science and art: a compass, a microscope, a telescope, and yes, a chisel. It was his way of celebrating human reason and ingenuity. So this brings us to the mythology of Caelum. It has no ancient legend of Olympian gods or epic heroes. Its drama is the story of human creation, our quest for knowledge, and the very tools that make scientific discovery possible. To really get this, you have to appreciate just how important this tool was in the 18th century. The engraver's chisel was the key technology for spreading information. It was used to meticulously carve the copper plates that printed everything: anatomical atlases, blueprints for machines, maps of new continents. It was, quite literally, the tool that disseminated knowledge. So that's the core identity of Caelum. Its story is all about ingenuity, precision, and art. It symbolizes the tools that empower us. There's even a beautiful metaphorical connection here. It's the very instrument you would use to draw the star charts and document the great voyages of its celestial neighbors, like the great ship Argo Navis. Which leaves us with a final, provocative thought. Lacaille immortalized the transformative tool of his era. So in our modern age of silicon chips, quantum computers, and artificial intelligence, what instrument of discovery that we use today is so fundamental to our progress that it deserves to be etched among the stars? What would you choose? That's something to think about.
Thank you, friends. Strive for understanding and become wiser. See you soon.